Hey, welcome to Individual Perspective Podcast. I have to come in and do another part to this actual Birthright Citizen thing. I'm getting some feedback, so can you give me a second? Get some peeking going on in here. What in the hell? Okay, what are we gonna do? Take this up. Yeah, it's picking up all kind of stuff. Okay, I see. Yep, that's it right there. Okay. Okay, so we good. I'm sorry, guys. Look, I'm trying to make sure it's some feed that was coming into the actual thing. How you guys doing? Yeah, look, we gonna just jump into it. I don't really have time to really do a introduction and talk gibberish. We're gonna do that later on, but I want to do a quick conversation about this Birthright Citizen. Okay, the question on the table for Birthright Citizen, and this is the problem that I have with the elected officials are that they're trying to make it seem like the debate of the Birthright Citizen, and I'm not even going to talk about the media. I'm talking about the actual Supreme Court justices. Because they're Supreme Court justices don't mean that they're right. They're how they rule on the most common sense situations are how you judge them as, are they credible or not? And the sad part about it is a lot of the justices are not credible. They are not credible. The conversation when it comes to birthright citizens is this conversation, okay? The 14th Amendment, okay? The 14th Amendment, it was built for slaves they could have a law or a constitutional amendment that specifically says that the rights of the Americans, the slave, they have right to citizenship. They was not here on their own free will. They were here and they were under the jurisdiction of the slave owners and whoever was like the government that was running America at that time. So in that conversation, it says, because we took ownership, because we took a claiming of the slaves, they have the rights of all humans that's in America's, the country of America, and the rights of the Constitution. That's what guarantees them citizenship and the right of entry in their offsprings. You get what I'm saying? Because if they're descendants of Africans, if they're actual African citizens, when they gave birth to a child into America, they were under the jurisdiction. They were under the actual claiming of the slave owners, of the laws, of the actual government, governing party, governing system of America at that time. That's what birthright citizen is. So when you read it, it's all persons born in, I'm reading the actual 14th Amendment. All persons born and naturalized in the United States of America and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. I need you guys to stop there. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That's the questions that the Supreme Court should be debating right now. Is an illegal immigrant or a foreigner that's pregnant, that comes over the border, that comes into the country, even if they're doing a visiting, even if they're visiting us, of kind of going to New York, going to Florida, or going whatever, if an illegal immigrant or a foreign citizen, not citizen, but a foreigner that comes over the country, comes into the country for visiting, travel, if they're legal immigrants crossing the border, whatever, and if they drop a baby, have a birth in the country while they're here, is that the jurisdiction of United States of America? And it's not. They're still a citizen of wherever they came from. They're still logged as a resident and a actual official citizen of whatever country they came from. We haven't taken that citizenship of where they came from away from them. In order to do that, they have to be documented and they have to be structured to say you pledge allegiance to our country. You are officially denouncing your country that you come from, and you're an official citizen of America. That gives the jurisdiction of, you can't give that to a legal immigrant. They're coming into the country. They've been processed as an illegal immigrant. Even if they claim an asylum, that we haven't given you asylum. We're going through the process of seeing if you're a legitimate claim for asylum. So that leaves you out of the jurisdiction of the United States of America. So when this conversation is like, is this person officially claimed by the United States of America? If you're on a student visa, you're not claimed. You're still a citizen of where you came from, and you're here under a temporary program of going to college or doing a work visa, something like that. You're not claimed. We're not giving you citizenship. We're not giving you a green card. We're not giving you an official claiming an official jurisdiction of the United States of America. That's the question that the Supreme Court should be answering right now. And if they're not, that tells you why they're illegitimate. So when you see how they ruled today, this is just scare the shit out of you, because this is a major opinion, major ruling by the Supreme Court. The actual legitimacy of the Supreme Court is weighted on how they really deal with one of the original constitutional amendments. Like, this is like during the framing of this country that this decision is made. So this is not like some crappy shit that they did in the 20th Amendment or the 21st Amendment or the 18th Amendment or some crappy stuff like that. This is literally a legitimate question to say, because even in the debate papers and the logging of when they was actually drafting the 14th Amendment, they debated that it was for slaves. It was for slaves and the descendants of slaves. That's what they debated. It's in the writing when they actually was debating it. So that no matter what the political situation is and the cultural situation is, and we don't want to we don't want to delegitimize 40 to 50 to 60 million citizens that's in the country, and that might be such a controversial situation. It's not the actual place of the courts to decide what's too harsh of a situation to put on the society. No, you have to rule just. And that's what makes them so illegitimate as a body, because they pick and choose what to really rule on. You get what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff that that our Supreme Court, I don't care how much they don't like it or how much work it is or how much actual cases that may be put on a ledger. If a court in America, I don't care if it's a city court, state court, whatever, if they rule illegitimate and unconstitutionally against an American citizen, you have to take that up to legitimize the actual fairness and just ruling. For example, okay, like Donald Trump, he was accused by a lady of sexual assault in the 1990s. This lady was in her 50s, 60s years old, and she said that he cornered her in a high-end store. Like we're talking about like Bloomingdale type of store, like we talking about Gucci type of store, that he cornered her in the dressing room and raped her. Well, I know YouTube is sensitive as hell. This is an unconstitutional situation here on YouTube, but he said that she essayed her in the thing, and all she was a person that at the time that him being president and running for president, she hated him, so she just injected that kind of lie into the system. Okay, I say it's a lie because they can't validate it. They can't validate it. Is you gotta have like, you crazy? You think a woman that's coming to shop at a high end, like we're talking about shirts that cost $1,200 or pants or suits that cost like $3,000 to $10,000, or like women clothing or purses that cost like $5,000, $10,000? You think there's not women curating the women actually taking clothes and trying on clothes and all that stuff like that? You would have a witness in that actual store that say that they both was in there. They don't give no legitimacy to that. There's none. This is a fantasy that a human being in America hates another human being in America, and they just inject a horrible, horrific like act on them. And what is that person? How do that person prove that they didn't do what they said they did? Oh well, he said in a video something slanderous about women. No, you taking it out of context. He's saying that rich people are so powerful and women throw themselves at them to be in the system that if you wanted to, you can do certain things to them. He didn't say he did it, but in the conversation of it, this woman says, "Oh, that's him having a conversation with another guy that was recorded on a hot mic is a place for us to tag him as a SA assaulter." That's crazy. So yeah, let's just say, okay, if we're gonna label people just by allegations, no proof, no facts, no evidence, no nothing to say that they were together at the same time at this certain place. She kind of made it like, okay, he lives in Trump Tower and the place is across from Trump Tower, then it's no way that you could say that it's not a possibility that he did this. Well, it is if nobody just leaving the store open to him. You got women in there assisting people with their wardrobe or changing clothes and all that stuff like that. You got merchants that's taking the cashiers and all that stuff. It's just too powerful of a place for something like that to happen. But it's such a wacky thought process. No one's fighting. And the lawyers that actually put this in place was Biden and Obama's lawyers. This was their staff that went into the law firms, and then they put their people that they have in the law firm to give this lady unlimited attorney pretty much help and stuff with an attorney and stuff, just pretty much like a pro bono. So it's so shady. He took this all the way up to the Supreme Court. He took it to the appeals court. He took it up to the appeals court. They wouldn't overturn it. He took it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decided to not even hear the case. That's not your job. One of the major problems with our society right now are women and organizations are accusing men of like sexually assaulting people. SA. You know what I'm saying? I hate when they say we gotta say SA on YouTube. Sexual assaulting of people. And you could just accuse people like this. You don't have to have factual evidence. And then you could destroy their companies, you could destroy their name, you could just destroy people. No matter if you don't like how he sexually objectified women in the pageants and stuff like that. Look, women are substance of beauty. If they decide to put themselves into the lexicon and to the social dynamics of the culture as the beauty, and then do a competition to who's the most beautiful, then they get subjected to the parameters that make that judgment. So this is crazy, but that the Supreme Court didn't even hear that court. That don't got nothing to do with Donald Trump. That's got something to do with all other men in the country get accused of this stuff, and they don't have the funds to go to the appellate court, to go to the Supreme Court. You ruling on this in this scenario for all men in the country. That's a constitutional question that needs to be debated and need to be taken all the way. You do not rule against an actual citizen with no facts, no proof, just an allegation. That's crazy. So that's the problem with our country. It's like we're not really being governed by legitimate judicial systems, legitimate prosecutors, legitimate law enforcement, legitimate senators, legitimate congressmen, legitimate upholding of the constitutional laws. And the statutes that are put in place are illegal because they are actually break with the actual regulation of people's constitutional rights. So you have thousands of statutes that rule over the society of American citizens that are illegal. They have no validation to them. Why? Because they are illegal because they actually break a constitutional right, an amendment. That's the problem. So when we're talking about all persons born or naturalized in the United States of America and subjected to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states within they reside. Okay, let me read that correctly. Sorry about my reading. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction of are citizens of the United States and of the state there where they reside. Wow, this how they speak is so crazy. Wherein they just reside. Such legal like jargon. But I do want to I'm gonna keep reading it, but I want to really talk about that really quick. All persons born and naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. That means, like, I want you guys to understand, they said, like, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. And I need you to pick, they are citizens of the United States and of the state, meaning that not the state gives them citizen. The United States, the United States of America, that's the federal government, and of the state wherein they reside. So when the jurisdiction is given by the United States, that automatically grants them citizenship or eligibility for citizenship for at the state that they reside in. Okay? No state shall make, and this is important because I just got to saying that, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege of immunity of citizens of the United States, meaning that once the actual person is getting jurisdiction and citizenship by the United States, that means the federal government, no state can take that privilege of being in the United States or having an immunity or privilege. The privilege is the jurisdiction of it. If meaning that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege of immunity of the citizen of the United States, meaning that California can't give illegal immigrants jurisdiction of American sovereignty and actual citizen rights. They can't do it. That's why it says that they can't enforce any laws. They can make a law to take away the citizenship from the person or give the person citizenship. That goes both ways. Okay? If it's something that can be given to that citizen by the actual how can I say, um, granting jurisdiction thereof a United States of America citizen, then California can't give it to them. You get what I'm saying? If how can they not enforce a law that they may have on the book and that gives them the citizen rights if they can't abridge a right that the United States of America federal government gives to that citizen? So that tells you unless the federal government gives a foreigner the American citizenship, no state can give that right to the actual citizen. That's why they illegal immigrants, how they always say undocumented. You get what I'm saying? And it says, nor shall any state deprive any persons of life, liberty, or property. And they remember this. They label it as any state, meaning that they can't give federal rights to a person that's coming into the country as an illegal immigrant, as a travel citizen, as a student visa or whatever. The state can't give that right to the actual foreigner, pretty much. Okay, so it says, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the law. That equal protections of the law in that jurisdiction is the federal government, the United States citizenship. So I wanted to read that to kind of make sure, like, when you hear stupid stuff like this, I gotta let you see what the media, how they kind of talk, because it's pretty stupid. Let me play this.
All right, so all eyes are on the Supreme Court today, where rulings on some of the term's biggest cases could be released before the justices break for summer recess. This may include opinions on the president's executive order limiting birthright citizenship from kids of illegal aliens and the issue of biological men and female sports. Fox News contributor and Rage of the Republic author, law professor Jonathan Turley joins us right now. Professor, it's good to see you in person. All right, so you're the professor and I'm just the student. But when it comes to the birthright citizenship, it doesn't look like it's going to go the president's way. But during the oral argument, it didn't seem there was much conversation on the original meaning of it, which it was for the kids of slaves.
That's right. You could tell in Chief Justice Roberts' comments that the weight of history was heavy for him in terms of precedent. But what was often missed is that some of the people who wrote the 14th Amendment said this does not apply to birthright citizenship, and there's very good arguments against it. But we may have to look at the possibility of a constitutional amendment if people want to go the way of most countries, including most of our allies, in rejecting what I think is a really ill-considered policy.
Right. Let's go to the other decision, and this is the president when he's considering what the Supreme Court is going to consider men playing in.
I don't care about no men playing in women's sports. Really don't. I mean, that's stupid anyway. They could deal with that. But what I want you to hear is how they talked about.
There was much conversation on the original meaning of it, which it was for the kids of slaves.
That's right. You could tell in Chief Justice Roberts' comments that the weight of history was heavy for him in terms of precedent. But what was often missed is that some of the people who wrote the 14th Amendment said this does not apply to birthright citizenship, and there's very good arguments against it.
Now, if the original writers see in the context, the jurisdiction thereof, that tells you that it's for people that are actual citizen residents, that the actual government, that the actual body of establishment that runs the laws of that land have clear understanding of this person's existence in the country, and they held them as a citizen or claiming as people that they know that's on the land. You get what I'm saying? And that's my issue. If the original like you got documentation at the time of signing that says what the debate was and what the communication was, then you have a reference to not go outside of. Meaning that this idiot that I got on the screen, his name is John Roberts. He's such a corrupt and egomaniac person because he likes to frame things to what he doesn't want to disrupt society. He doesn't want to bring chaos to society, but it's not your choice to decide what's gonna implement chaos and what's gonna implement like an overhaul of ton of 60 million people being illegal. If they're illegal, they're illegal, and it's time to claim it. You have documentation to say that this law was drawn up in order to give rights to Americans, slaves and their descendants and their offspring. That's what it was. In the documents, in the debate says that locks you in. Now he got a rule like that. That's just the way it is. So I'll wrap this up by saying that it's not to be debated if 60 million people that came over from Ronald Reagan up to now illegally automatically gets like claimed as undocumented or illegal aliens because they never had the rights of black slaves. That's just the way it is. You get what I'm saying? So watch how they rule today and how corrupt it is. And I hope I gave you guys some really detailed walkthroughs of why I think that 60 million people should probably be marked as undocumented and illegal immigrants if they haven't been given jurisdiction of. Because Obama, he did some shady shit with the DACA stuff, and it's been hard. Even Bush, they've been doing some shady stuff, and it made the country, and especially Biden with the open borders and stuff, and it's just been crazy. So look, I just wanted to bring that back, get a second part to this birthright citizen argument, and let's see how they rule, and I'll talk to you guys about it later. Okay, I'll check you guys out, and this will be it from me, and for till a little bit later this afternoon. I'll check you guys out. Have a good one.